What is going on, Rivian fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So another potential hiccup for Rivian, but I'm going to break it down why I feel this is a little bit more of a overreaction. So I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get right to it. So currently down almost 11.5%, give or take, and it did hit a new 52-week low of $15. Very, very cheap, and lucky for those individuals that are able to buy at that price. I actually did add to my position at $15.30 today because, like I said, I do feel that this is a big overreaction, and it is down because of this. So Rivian did announce a 1.3 billion convertible note that comes due or matures 2029, and a lot of people just immediately are skipping to the very end where it does result in dilution, of course. But people are ignoring the fact that it's 1.3 billion. That is very low cost and debt for Rivian. And given the circumstances of what the economy is with the higher interest rate, to do these convertible notes is very advantageous, despite them having 12.1 billion that was at the tail end of 2022. Typically, convertible notes are very good, but it's kind of a twofold event. So that one, in reality, I'm not too worried about the 1.3 billion because the fact that it went down so much, it currently is at a 15.88 billion market cap right now. So in general, like, I think it shed well more than that 1.2 or 1.3 billion. So, and a lot of people are very much overreacting. And in here, though, they're talking on as well growing demand concerns, even though they recently had their earnings and they did disclose a lot of the potential issues, but still a lot of people are, like I said, taking this out of proportion. And then to add to the mix as well, you do get Powell that's basically saying that interest rates are going to remain fairly high. So a lot of different moving parts, but when it comes down to it, why I also do feel that this was a very big overreaction and why I decided to buy more today is because of what I see based on the secondary market and also the dark pool. A lot of money is buying, and you can always tell based on the bid and the ask and versus the price that it was sold for, whether it was a buy or a sell. And based on all of this, there's a hell of a lot of big money buying. So these are all the transactions. There was one as well, 10.1 million, but a lot of big money is buying. So once again, that might mean something, might mean nothing to some of you guys. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But for instance, if you do take a lot of this information and couple it with their recent earnings, it goes to show that they will do a fairly good, successful 2023. So once again, a lot of people are very much short-term mentality and just see, oh my God, they're diluting or eventually doing a note that's going to convert to issuance and things like that. People just don't think bigger picture, and Rivian hands down is a very good long-term investment. And of course, if you look at a lot of the options activity, first thing, there was a hell of a lot of puts, but I think in general that was very much just a lot of fear, and especially, like I said, you add the Powell factor as well, a lot of different negatives in that regard. But even if you do look at a lot of the puts, a lot of people are clearly betting on Rivian going down below $15. So of course there might be some external factors behind the scenes as well. I'll give you a quick update on shorts as well while I am on here. So shorts currently are actually returning 364,000 shares. So once again, if you piece everything together, I see that as very optimistic. They could easily be doubling down and causing it to go down, but they're not. So once again, take that how you see that. These videos are for entertainment purposes only, of course. But for instance, looking on the actual technicals, the fact that it did bounce off of that $15 range and most likely will just be within this range for the next little bit until the economy either boosts it higher past the $18 mark, or I don't see anything right now that could cause it to get higher than 18 right now. But still, regardless, this is just short-term pain. And as far as what this is happening, so number of retail investors are getting out today based on the momentum indicator. Stochastic is currently at 19, no defined trend though. But just see exactly what did happen after their earnings and how it did rally, because of course there's a lot of things that maybe the company is not necessarily disclosing all at once. Like for instance, they initially said 50,000, and of course 2 days after then they say, oh, 60,000 for deliveries for the tail end or for the 2023 final production targets. So there's a lot of things that Rivian behind the scenes is not telling you, and typically what did spark a lot of fear within, for instance, EVs and so forth is this. So a lot of people were looking at the used vehicle index, and when it did start to plummet, this is where a lot of companies were forced to cut their new car sale prices to kind of meet demand. But it does look like used car prices are starting to go back up, so insinuating companies such as Rivian that didn't necessarily cut on a broad stance is going to very much succeed, and maybe is overreacting based on saying that there's demand concerns, as I'm sure a lot of the numbers that they're looking at was during this time period right here when there was in fact some demand problems. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is just my interpretation of it. I could be very much wrong about this, but I do feel that this was a very big overreaction and currently is. And this is why, like I said, I decided to add to my position. But once again, let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. If you do like my Rivian content, want to support the channel, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Rivian.